Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to wait just 2 minutes to allow more people to join. Good evening, everybody. Now we've got a lot of people joining us. Let's make a start. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Professor Eleanor Robson, and I'm the director of the Nahrein Network here at University College London. And I am joined by three excellent people. Dr. Mehyar Kazem, the Deputy Director of the network, Dr. Regine Mohammed Amin, who is one of the co-directors based at Kissa in Soleimani, and Professor Ali Naji Atiyah from University of Kufa, who is a former award holder and is currently running a project funded by us. So we're here today to talk about how to apply for our research grants, which the network is offering to support Iraqi-led research into the ways in which history and heritage and the humanities can help Iraq through its culture, society, economy, environment. So we're going to start by playing you a short video to show you what the basic parameters of the scheme are. And then we'll take questions. The video's in English, but if you need translation, we can translate into Arabic or to Kurdish for you. We were happy to take questions in English or Arabic or Kurdish. You can put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand. We'll also, after that, we'll talk through the eligibility criteria and the application form and anything that you need to know. But let's start with the video, and then we'll take questions after that. I can see there are already people raising hands. So I'm going to ask Zainab to start the video for us, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Security issues.
I'm Professor Eleanor Robson, and I'm Director of the Nahrein Network here at University College London. I'm delighted to tell you about the Nahrein Network's Research Grant Scheme. The Nahrein Network's Research Grant Scheme has been running since 2018. We fund Iraqi-led research into the sustainable development of history, heritage, and the humanities in Iraq, including the Kurdish region of Iraq. We fund 5 to 6 projects every year, with grants of between £10,000 and £100,000, depending on how much money they need. The The project should run for between 6 months and 2 years. All of our projects are led by Iraqi researchers, and we're particularly keen to see more applicants from women. We're happy to receive applications from people who haven't worked with us before, but equally you are very welcome to apply if you've successfully completed a project we have funded in the past. All of the projects the Nahrein network funds must address at least one of our 6 research aims. We describe these in detail on our website, but I'll give you a quick overview now. First, we're interested in projects that help us to better understand the position of history, heritage, and related subjects in Iraq today. Second, we fund projects that help local experts get their message across better, whether communicating to a particular local audience or a national or an international one. Third, we're interested in projects that help Iraqi heritage organisations do their job better. That might be with the State Board of Antiquities and Heritage nationally, or locally with a particular museum, archive, library or heritage site. Fourth, we support projects that help young people have better lives through work. That might be as a specialist graduate in heritage, history or the humanities, or it might be a project that uses these disciplines for more general employability skills. Fifth, we are very interested in projects that help Iraq to recover from its long legacy of war and conflict through history and heritage. Sixth, and perhaps most urgently, we are looking for projects that use history, heritage or the humanity to address Iraq's really pressing climate emergency in one way or another. So who can apply for our grants? You can apply to us if you're an expert in history, heritage or a related discipline and you're an Iraqi working in Iraq, or if you're an expert outside Iraq in one of our fields and you're collaborating with an Iraqi researcher in Iraq on an equal basis. That means involving your Iraqi partner in the research design of the project and in the delivery of the projects and in the publication of the results, not simply as an assistant. Finally, the project you want to do must create new knowledge through evidence, method or theory. That is, it must involve research. And most importantly, that research that you do must directly benefit Iraq and or the KRI in some form or another, whether that's cultural, economic, social or environmental. So, if that sounds like you, let me tell you how to apply. We have a very simple 2-stage process that starts with what we call an expression of interest. To make this expression of interest, you simply need to complete an online form before the 31st of October. In that form, we ask you to tell us about you and your team and how you're qualified to do the research you want to do. Then, tell us about the project you want, how you want to do it, and the benefits it will bring to Iraq and or KRI. In the form, try to write at least a paragraph in every answer, being sure to give as much information as you can, because we can't fund projects that we don't know very much about. Then you'll need to wait about 6 to 8 weeks while our international team of expert reviewers assess all the eligible submissions. They will make a shortlist of about 10 of the best projects. We will contact everybody who's applied in December and we will let you know if you're on the shortlist and we will give you feedback. Then, in early January, we will start to work with you to develop your expression of interest into a full research proposal with a budget, management plan, timeline and list of outputs. We'll also help you get the permissions you need from your ministry or employer and help you develop an ethical framework, a risk review and a communication strategy. So if this sounds like it's going to be an exciting prospect for you, there are several ways to find out more. Our website has full details, plus a link to the application form, which is available until the 31st of October. Then you can follow our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Threads or X, and subscribe to our email newsletter, which you can also find the link to on our website. Our media and our newsletter will give you more information about a live webinar, which will be in Arabic and English and Kurdish in early October. This will give you a chance to ask questions about how to apply and any other questions you have about the scheme. If you can't wait till then, you can find last year's Research Grants webinar on the Nahrein Network's YouTube channel. Then once you've got all the information you need, go back, complete the application form and submit it before the 31st of October. I'm really looking forward to reading all of the applications. Thank you so much for listening. So there we are. And of course, the webinar that I referred to in that video is this webinar here. So this is your chance to ask us anything you need to know. So first of all, I'd like to ask, does anybody have any questions about what we have just been talking about? So we have some hands raised. So I'm going to ask Shailan, you're the first person to raise your hand. Please speak in English or in Arabic or in Kurdish, whichever you prefer, and one of our team will answer you in your preferred language as well.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, welcome.
How are you?
Very well. Please ask your question, Shailan.
Yeah, I have a question about like after we fill this forms, and I'm sure we will get lots of questions in that form that we're gonna to fill it. But I want to say like the places we are going to explore or discover it, and those places you are going to choose it, or we are gonna to choose it, our team, like we're gonna to create our team, and who will choose the place we're going to make researches on?
Well, the whole idea of the scheme, it's a good question. So the idea is that Iraqi researchers choose what is important to you, not us in London. You know much better than us where the research is needed. So you tell us and you explain to us the work you want to do, where you want to do it, and why it matters. Okay, this is not us telling you what to do. You tell us. Okay.
So it is depend on our team that we are gonna to work, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great, because you have great planners. That's why I asked it. I said maybe they obligate us to choose a place, not depend on our thoughts. So that's great. Okay, thanks.
My pleasure.
Can I just add to that, Elena? So, because this is a common question, so the way it works is that you choose the subject matter within the aims that have been explained, also available on our website, and you choose the location, the university, or the organization, and you also choose the length of time, up to 2 years. So you may need 1 year, 1 year and a half, up to 2 years. It depends on the project. So there's a lot of flexibility in terms of project design. So it's best to discuss this with your project partners and team members. And then once you have a clear idea of the project, you can write it down, and then you can reshape it and improve it over time with your team members, and then submit it. But it all depends on the communication and the design, the objectives, the activities. All those things need to be designed by you.
Oh, that's good. It was good to hear this. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Elena, you're muted.
Oh, you're with me?
No, that's me. No, that's me. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do too much at once. I am going to ask Imad to ask your question, and what's happening here? There. Oh, Imad has.
Do you
Are
hear
you
me?
there, Imad?
Yes, how are you?
Good. Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. I have two questions. The first is about I am not get or understand how Iraqi researcher who live outside Iraq to cooperate with somebody inside Iraq or with university, or this is not clear for me. Should I have a colleague from Iraq or one, for example, research center or something like that? This is what the first question.
Well, the short answer is yes. We fund research in Iraq by Iraqi researchers in Iraq. So you will need to find a research partner.
Okay, it's not enough to go through in affiliation with research center.
Yes, you can if you have affiliation with the research center in Iraq and you're working with them.
I mean, it depends also how to define affiliation as should be a member or cooperate with them, or how, which kind of affiliations. You know, there are different kind of affiliations.
Or if perhaps if you have a particular case in mind, perhaps we can talk about that separately, because we take it. Everyone, yeah. If you're a formal member of a research organization based in Iraq, then you are eligible.
Okay.
So yeah, perhaps later we could talk about
Okay.
your case in particular.
Okay.
I want to add some point.
Yes,
sorry,
yes.
Mr. Ahmad. The main thing here that you should be the principal investigator. So if you represent, for example, an institution, governmental or private, it doesn't matter. But as a person, you will be the responsible of everything in the project.
Okay. Okay. Good. It's clear. Okay, we can talk. Maybe I will ask you later about how it's well going. The second question is, you have 6 projects aims, or I am sociologist. I am interested to investigate the public sphere in Iraq and inclusion of women and youth after Nahrein uprising. Does this fit with your aims? Because the first one about the current situation in Iraq or current problems maybe fit, but I don't understand the history or something like that. Yeah, and the second aim is about the youth and young people who is not employed or something like that. Does that fit with sociology as subject?
So let me, I was being quite short in those. All of our projects have to relate in some way to the past. Okay. So it could be the recent past, it could be the Nahrein movement, that would be okay. But yeah, so we've got to think about how the past can help Iraq in the present and in the future. So it could be looking at the Nahrein movement. We've been sponsoring projects on the way heritage and culture and identity have changed since the occupation of Daesh, for instance. So recent past counts, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
Yes, I can
sociological
add,
approaches are also interesting. Please, Ali.
yes. Yes, I can add an important term here for you, Mr. Hamad, because you are sociologist. You are really the main person required in what is named living heritage. So if you think in a project, the main objective is how to keep the living heritage after the conflict, for example, which was a main evidence for diversity and coexistence between people. I think this is your field. So please think about this thing, but should be related to heritage, as Eleanor mentioned.
Yes, I understand what you think, but the problem is that we have the short time. You know, when somebody have to write proposals, need literature, and I'm already wrote a proposal about public sphere, and I think this is very important subject in the area. It's not only in Iraq, and its role to improve democracy or hinder democracy. This is what I'm talking about.
Thank you. I should say, I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about the form shortly, but at the moment, as I say, we only want quite brief descriptions of people's projects so that we don't want to waste people's time spending a lot of time thinking in a lot of detail about projects right now, because we always get a lot of applications and we can only fund 5 of them. So we don't want to disappoint lots of people by
I think
so,
also your process is very, very good, because don't need much of things, a little bit to understand what I am. Okay, but can I ask in later, maybe in the email to send to you?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Yes, and Zainab will post the email in the chat so everybody can see it. I'm sure lots of people do know the email, but it's good to be reminded. So thank you, Dr. Imad. Those were great questions.
Yes, thank you.
I'm going to now ask Adil to talk. Bear with me, Adil. I just need to. There we are.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. Hello. Thank you very much for giving me the chance to participate in this kind of, let's say, webinar. And actually, it's a good opportunity for us to make a kind of networking between the researchers over the Iraq and working as a team. So I have, let's say, I'm gonna say the couple of questions. So maybe I just have 1 or 2 questions. And the first question is this a problem, or I mean the project or problem, when I find the problem, I want to do the solution, and is it related to some specialty or any kind of specialty? As I can see the recorded presentation here, if you're shortlisted, work with our team to develop a particular plan. You say the budget management, timeline, output, and is it related to a specific, let's say, field, or we can use, for me, as a technology, actually, my specialty is in information technology. So can I work on that field or not?
So we are funded to support research on the past, on history, archaeology, heritage. So you can use information technology to do that, but it can't just be on information technology. We are really a network of researchers who are interested in Iraq's past and how the past can help the present and the future.
Okay, I mean, okay, so you mean we can't do the information technology, right? Or we can?
Well, if it was related to history or heritage, yeah, but we won't fund projects that are just about information technology. We can't do that.
Yeah, it's kind of digital transformation related to Iraqi government. So we have the digital.
No, that won't be in our remit, I'm afraid.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so I will go through
we're historians.
Yeah, I will go through the other fields so we can join the. Okay, once I apply for that, So regarding the selecting of the network, so for example, I've been selected with some other, let's say, researcher over the Iraq as a network, right? So we are going to work as a team. That will be online, or there will be a face-to-face meeting, or
no. Okay, that's a good question. So no, you choose the team you want to work with. It could be people in your university, or it could be somebody another thing. So we don't choose who you work with, you choose, right? This is all about the network enables Iraqi researchers to do the research that matters to them within the fields of history and heritage, with the people they want to work with, in using the methods they want to do. So we don't tell you what to do. We don't tell you who to work with. You tell us.
I see. Okay. So thank you very much.
Pleasure. Great. Thank you for your questions. Okay, I am going to ask Christine next. Bear with me, Christine. There you are.
Great. Hi, can you hear me?
Perfect, thank you.
You
Christine.
can't see me. It's nice to see you again, Eleanor. We have met once.
Great. Yes, we have. Nice to hear you.
I'm asking the question largely on behalf of my colleague Emad Bashar, who is present. And so it might be helpful if Mehia translates the answer into Arabic as well, just so we have it in both forms. And we're a team that's worked together on another project before, and we want to take things forward by doing a project that would involve Yazidi intangible heritage and commemoration of the 10 years of the genocide. And so there would be impact activity in it as well. And our main question is about what kind of institution in Iraq it would need to be linked to, because Emad basically has a choice of working with quite a large institution like the American University of Iraq at Soleimani, where we've worked, with whom we've worked before, or he could work with a very grassroots Yazidi music school in Shingal. And in many ways, we would like that because it's, you know, it's very much in the community. But we wondered what kind of size and legal status the leading institution in Iraq has to be. That's the question.
That's a really good question. So from our point of view here in London, Christine, if you were applying, you would, I mean, you would have to choose. It would probably be most sensible for your university to be the lead university, the lead institution in this. And then it would just be, we are happy to work with anybody who is able to do the work. So yeah, I mean, a small grassroots organization sounds ideal, actually, because they're the people that know what's what. But you'd also have to presumably go through some sort of approvals process at Exeter as well, and they'd have to be happy with that.
Well, yes, but I was wondering about passing the book, you know, because you know, UK academic time is expensive. So I was sort of wondering, I mean, I'm really sort of supporting them in this. This is their application, and they could work with AUIS, who can do things like contracts and receive money.
Well, that's
and
it.
Things
They'll
like
have
that.
to. They'd have to be able to show that they could do contracts and they could manage money. There is a kind of formal process that we go through with projects to make sure that you know, we are spending money with organizations that know how to look after it and have the mechanisms in place for that. So there is what we call a due diligence process. And so if a team is really small, it might be a big burden to them to do that. And unfortunately, we in the team don't have any control over that. It's something that comes from above us in the university. There's a kind of audit process. So yeah, I mean, we could perhaps have a conversation about that separately.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Mihia, did you want to summarize that for Christine's
Yeah, it would.
colleague?
Yeah, it could, but it
In
may
our-
be. Yeah, it may be. Yeah, it may be a good idea for the person to ask the question who's actually here, if he can ask that question. Or otherwise, I can translate what was said. السؤال كان عن طبيعة العلاقة مع العراق في شأن هل يوجد مؤسسة أو جامعة هي الأفضل للتعاون مع الجامعة البريطانية أو مؤسسة اللي راح تقود هذا المشروع. فأنا جاوبت المؤسسة الأفضل مؤسسة اللي هي عندها يعني خلينا نقول تقنية وخبرة في إدارة المشاريع، وكذلك في شأن الإدارة المالية لتلك المشاريع. ما أعرف إذا دكتور علي إذا كان أكو ملاحظات أخرى. المشروع كان عن اليزيدية والتراث الغير المادي والذاكرة في شأن الإبادة الجماعية لليزيدية 2014.
نعم دكتور، يعني هو طبعا طبيعة المشروع برأيي هي اللي تحدد يعني هذه الأمور. طبعا أنا أضم صوتي إلى صوت يعني إليانور ومهيار أنه تطوير عمل المؤسسات يعني بصراحة يمكن هو أكيد مقدم على تطوير عمل الأفراد، لأنه احنا نعرف المؤسسات حتى يكون اكو استدامة لهذه الأفكار المشاريع البحثية. ولكن بودي الإشارة إلى موضوع اللي هو متعلق بالضبط بالإدارة المالية للمشاريع القادمة، لأن هذه واحدة من الأشياء اللي كانت يعني بصراحة شوية صعبة. المؤسسات الحكومية يعني يجب التأكد منه أنه عليها حساب بالعملة الصعبة، وهذا شيء مهم يعني، وهو بصراحة أساسي، لأنه خصوصا إذا كانت هناك مثلا في بعض المشاريع قد يكون شراء بعض المعدات أو بعض الأجور تدفع أو إلى آخره. فأحيانا تكون مؤسسات اللي هي مثل الNGO أو المؤسسات الخاصة هي مفضلة، لأن لديها حرية أكبر في يعني خلينا نقول استلام أموال بالعملة الصعبة، مثل الجامعات على سبيل المثال. أنا ما أعرف، يمكن في منطقة كردستان قد يكون الأمر مختلف، أنا أتكلم عن الجامعات في الوسط والجنوب. ولكن بصورة عامة نعم، يعني طبيعة المشروع هي اللي تحدد هذه الأمور، ولكن طبعا يجب إثبات وجود الخبرة الكافية لإدارة هذه المشاريع القادمة إن شاء الله.
Is that okay? Shall we move on to the next
Yes,
question?
thank you very much. Thank you.
Right. Pleasure, Christine. And our next person with a hand up is Harem. Hello.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Helen from Kurdistan region of Iraq. So I have two questions. The first one, since I already have drafted a proposal on the capacity building in them for mental health services in Kurdistan region of Iraq. So I'm not sure do my project is eligible to apply for the grant. I smell it looks like I'm eligible to apply, but I want to make sure that my project is about increasing the capacity of mental health services for those mental health providers who work with women who are exposed to violence. I mean, any kind of violence, intimate partner violence, and domestic violence, any kind of violence. Due to the past wars and conflict in Iraq, the mental health of women also have been affected very negatively. So my question is, do I'm eligible to apply for this kind of grants? If yes, and then I'm gonna to move on to my second question.
Yeah, it's not really in the kind of core area of our remit. So you have to make a case that you were researching some aspect of the past rather than the impacts of the past on people now. I don't know whether Rasheen or Mahia, you want to comment?
I can also add to that, as you mentioned, it's more about using history and heritage and humanities as a content, as opposed to just as an impact of this, just simply saying, okay, how people are now reacting for some past trauma or something like that. So that you can develop the field more. And also something that Nahrein Network always emphasize is social, economic, and cultural impact. So it's kind of not a research for the sake of research, but also a research that has impact.
Yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention, I'm working at Cairo University at Department of Clinical Psychology, and also if I start this project, I need to cooperation with a German university, which I finished my PhD there. So this is also my second question. For implementing or applying my projects, I need to cooperate with, as I said, German university, and I need to be a postdoc researchers for example, for 2 years there to take advances from their expertise and applying my project in Iraq. However, I will keep my position as a principal investigator through all my projects. But so, I mean, do Al Nahrein network grants allow to such kind of position? I mean, to have a postdoc position in the project, something like that.
Yes, absolutely. We do welcome international collaborations, and we're happy to. So people have been asking about funding, what's eligible budgetary costs, and funding a postdoctoral researcher would be also an eligible cost within that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great. Okay, thank you, Haram. Good questions. I am going to ask Mustafa to ask his question. Hello, Mustafa. Welcome. Mustafa,
السلام
are you
عليكم.
with us? السلام عليكم. عليكم السلام.
دكتورة اليونور، دكتور
عليكم
مهيار،
السلام.
دكتورة زينب، السيدات والسادة الحضور، مع حفظ الألقاب والمراتب، سعدتم مساء.
اهلا ومرحبا بك استاذ مصطفى، اهلا وسهلا.
الله يحفظك دكتور. أنا مصطفى الغزي، باحث في شأن الحضارات القديمة، تحديدا تاريخ العراق القديم. كنت يعني من العام الماضي عام 2021 و22 عملت على تقديم مشروع تحت عنوان إحياء الصناعات الخشبية والقصبية في محافظة واسط. ولله الحمد المشروع كان بمشاركة بعض الزملاء الأكاديميين من الجامعات العراقية، وأيضا بعض الزملاء من الهيئة العامة للآثار والتراث. وقد اختير مشروعنا ضمن المشاريع الفائزة ضمن منحة أو مشاريع شبكة النهرين، وقطعنا أشواط واجتماعات ووصلنا إلى مرحلة الأخيرة، مرحلة تمويل المشروع للبدء به. لكن يعني استقبلنا إيميل من شبكة النهرين يخبرنا أنه هناك بعض التفاصيل الإدارية أو بعض الشؤون شبكة النهرين تعمل على إصلاحها أو على تحسينها، ولذلك تضطر شبكة النهرين إلى بشكل مؤقت إيقاف تمويل هذه المشاريع، ونوافيكم في وقت لاحق. أنا سؤالي حول مصير هذه المشاريع، هل ستدرج ضمن مشاريع هذا العام، يعني باعتبار هي مشاريع قطعة أشواط بتفاصيل التصويت والاختبارات والاجتماعات، أم ألغيت ونقوم يعني مرة أخرى بتقديم مشاريع أخرى جديدة؟
شكرا أستاذ مصطفى. أنت حضرتك تعرف يعني إحنا كان عندنا مواضيع متعلقة مع وزارة التعليم العالي، فوقفنا الشغل لدعم المشاريع وفق القوانين العراقية والقوانين لوزارة التعليم العالي. فصراحة أمس حصلنا الكتاب من وزارة التعليم العالي يسمح لجامعات العراقية ومراكز الدراسات التابعة لوزارة التعليم العالي تتعاون مع شبكة النهرين قسم التاريخ جامعة لندن. فإذا حضرتك تريد تقدم من جديد لازم تكون من وفق القوانين الجديدة أو العلاقة الجديدة أو الشراكة الجديدة مع وزارة التعليم العالي. فأنت عندك الحر يعني إذا تريد تقدم من جديد عندك الديدلاين نهاية هذا الشهر. شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. تهانينا.
أنا أضيف أستاذ مصطفى، أضيف لكلام دكتور مهيار أنه الاختلاف فقط أو الإضافة اللي صارت بالتعميم الجديد، طبعا هو الهدف الأول تحقق وهو رفع الحظر. الآن يعني كل الحضور أرجو أن تسمعون هذا بشكل واضح، تم رفع الحظر عن شبكة النهرين لكل الجامعات العراقية، وممكن التعامل مع هذا المشروع بشكل حر. فقط الوزارة تطلب إعلامها، فنرجو من حضراتكم يعني أنه مع أقسام العلاقات الثقافية في جامعاتكم يعني إعلام الوزارة مثلا بالمقترحات، أو إذا صارت مثلا حصول على منح أو كذا يكون الوزارة عندها علم. هذا فقط اللي أضيف. شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا لك دكتور،
بالتوفيق.
وتهانينا شبكة النهرين، خطوة ممتازة حصولهم على هذا الكتاب. دكتور مهيار، سؤال أخير. ممكن أنه المشاريع اللي ستطلق هذا العام تشتمل على مشاريع توثيق الأبنية التراثية أو المباني الأثرية بتقنيات مثل 3D موديل أو موديل 3D، ممكن تدخل ضمن هذه المشاريع؟
يعني المشاريع اللي احنا جاي ندعمها في العراق اكيد يعني التراث الثقافي او التوثيق، لكن لازم اكو جانب في شأن الدراسة والبحوث يعني لازم اكو فد شيء يتعلق في صنع العلم او صناعة العلم في العراق من خلال الدراسة، من خلال البحث. هذا اللي يجب يعني للمشاريع يقدمون نشاطات تتعلق مع أو في تطوير هذا المسار في هذا المجال، وليس بس توثيق أبنية، لأن إحنا جامعة وليس مؤسسة تشتغل في مجال الصيانة أو في شأن يعني التوثيق لتلك أبنية سواء في 3D أو غير 3D. لكن إذا أكون مشروع ربما يعني يكون واحد من الفقرات التوثيق. ممكن دكتور علي يعني يجاوب على هذا السؤال في وقت آخر. شكرا أستاذ. تفضل دكتور.
نعم، أنا بس مختصر جدا مفيد. أنا أقول هي شيئين: تطوير المعرفة ومساحة التأثير على المجتمع. رجاء يعني للكل من تقدمون أفكار كيف تطورون المعرفة وكيف يكون أكبر تأثير في المجتمع بخصوص التراث. شكرا.
We'll go to the next one, Elena.
Yes, okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Okay, Mustafa. Hello.
I think Mustafa already asked this question.
The next one is
I beg your pardon, Mustafa. Sorry,
Ahmed.
I'm sorry,
Ahmed Khairuddin.
Yes. I'm trying to do too much at once. I'm also trying to answer the questions in the chat as well. Hello, Ahmed. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you very much. So I have two questions. First, of course, thank you for this webinar. It was very beneficial and very informative. My first question is regarding the BC visiting program. I applied on July and I sent the invitation and I coordinate with Newcastle University, and two labs like accepted to host my research project, and then I did not hear back from your side, and I don't know if you have announced already the people who have been selected. I wonder if you could reply to my email on my status of that application. This is the first question. My second question is, We have at the so I'm employed at the University of Duhok, and we are planning to open a heritage department, like heritage preservation department, we say. And so the program we have is we are trying to, we say, educate the community and also educate the university itself the importance of the heritage that the sites that we have in our region, because we have many sites that some teams are working on. So the idea is there are also many tourists that are coming over. So we are trying to build first, like the program would be building interactive map that can that people can easily access these sites, the historic sites that we have in our region. We say tourist or community itself, if they want to know more about their history and their heritage, we say, especially in Duhok city. This is 1. 2, we would like to also train some of our students and give them some, we say, hard labor work on how to do preservation, how to do like we say archaeology techniques with some teams that we have here, and we give them some internship training, and then hopefully they can also pursue the work that the excavation teams that are doing here in Duhok. So the program is like has 2 sides. 1 is technology side, 2 is, we say, raising awareness, 3 is maybe initiating a, we say, archaeology department here in our university. So I don't know if that falls under the umbrella. It does cover 2 or 3 of the aims of the program, but I don't know if you can tell me, like, physically, if that does fall into the program. And thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. First of all, I'm sorry you haven't heard back from the Visiting Scholars Scheme, because all of the emails went out from those a few weeks ago. Our administrator's not here at this meeting now, but I will ask her to make sure that she sent the email to the right address. So I do apologize for that.
Elena, if I may, the email was sent on the 15th of September. So it could be, yeah, we'll double check the email also again.
Yeah. So Ahmed, you should have, yeah, should be 3 weeks ago. We'll check. Secondly, as for your new project, I think we probably have to look in some more detail, because we're primarily interested in research rather than capacity building. So this question of creating new knowledge is essential for the way we're funded. So, I mean, we have funded, for instance, we funded networks in the past. Regine had a very good network a few years ago that had a very strong capacity building element, but also did research. So, yeah, it would depend on the details of the application, the details of the project. I don't know whether, Regine, you wanted to add anything?
Sure. It's just that, like as Dr. Ali mentioned before, in Arabic, it's in addition to the generating new knowledge, it's also the impact that I also previously mentioned, the showing that the research has impact. And then you are producing new knowledge, and this could be interdisciplinary research, kind of you connect a few branches of disciplines to come across with solutions or even innovative ideas or innovative findings, and then through it also you demonstrate that your research is having impact, be it social, economic, or culture. And by the way, it doesn't have to be ticking a few boxes in terms of the objectives. It could be related to only one objective, as long as you can justify the depth of the research. So it's not about the quantity, rather about the quality of the project design. So you are muted, Eleanor.
Thank you. I was saying, is that a helpful answer? Shall we move on? I'm going to just answer Layla's question. She posted a long set of questions in the chat. it sounds like Layla, it sounds like you have a great project that would be eligible for us. You asked if we could apply, you could apply for another institution instead of your current one. Well, we would need to see evidence from that other institution that they are willing to host you and the project, and that they're prepared to support the project. You asked if researchers have master's or PhD to be if they're eligible. If you are engaged in research in some way, then yes, you're eligible. If you're a full-time PhD researcher and you should be writing your PhD, we probably won't fund you. But if you have enough time, you have to show that you've got enough time to do the research for the project. We don't fund PhD projects themselves. This is that's the other thing to say. It's not a PhD scholarship scheme. But in principle, all the things you asked Layla should be okay. But yeah, we just need the documentation we ask for always is basically just evidence that the people you work for know you're doing the project and are supportive of it, right? Because we had problems in the past with people not being quite truthful about that and ending up having to give us the money back and not doing the project, and we don't want that to happen. Okay, let's move on. Who's the next person? Is it Zaravan next?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Welcome. Sorry to keep you waiting. Hi.
No, it's fine. Good evening. How are you? I hope
It's
everybody
good to
is
see
doing well.
you.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure to participate on this session. Is very important. Actually, I have a question. I'm working on one local NGO that I'm supporting them right now. Either I'm in UK, but I have team in Iraq. They are working in different fields, especially peace project, livelihood project, and so on. So I just want to ask here if this local NGO, they have one department, they are working on research, they are specialized in research, and some of them, they are a lecturer in the University of The Hague. So my question is, if we prepare a project through them, and we cover them via local NGO, because we have a bank account, we have ongoing project in Iraq and different part of Iraq and Anbar and Mosul and The Hague as well. So is it possible for them to apply for this project through a local NGO? But they are, as I said, they are specialized people in research, peace building, and also they are specialized in livelihood and other projects that they are supporting young Iraqi people right now in Iraq. Thank you.
Zaravan, they sound excellent. Yeah, they sound exactly the sorts of organizations we would like to be supporting. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Great. Okay, next on my list is Snor. Hello, welcome.
Good afternoon, good evening. I try to be quick and ask all my questions. So I am social entrepreneurship and innovation consultant at PAYA Agency. PAYA Agency is working mostly on creative projects and art and culture and heritage. However, our project is collaborating with archaeology department of University of Suleimani. So the researcher is from the university. Does it really matter if we write the name of the individual? Like the researcher should be the name of the individual when we apply, or it doesn't matter? Because we try to apply as PAYA because of like, if you know, the transfer of money and bank accounts with public institutions is very difficult. So will that matter or it doesn't matter? And also, again, with that, if you are an NGO or a company, does that make a difference? That is two of my questions. And the last one, maybe not related to this stage, but you have mentioned on your website that you are going to help us with the planning, with the budgeting, and all the other processes afterwards. I was wondering how much you will be involved in that, and if we need consultation, do you provide any staff, or do you have any other support in terms of the planning or the management of the project? and if there is any evaluation afterwards to evaluate what we are delivering, basically the deliverables. So maybe this part, yes, this last part is not related to this stage, but if you can address it in a way, I'll be thankful. Thank you so much.
Okay, Snor, thank you. There's a lot of questions there. First of all, payments. We use a company called Stars Orbit that works with UNESCO and the United Nations and other big organizations in Iraq. Stars Orbit is based in Jordan, so we pay money from London to Amman, and then they get the money to Iraq. This has been working very well for us for it's over a year now, isn't it, Regine? We've been paying Regine's team for over a year. So all of those worries about paying payments that we used to have, some of you will know we struggled with, those have been solved. So it doesn't really matter. So if you should think about if you want to partner between an NGO and a university, where the best resource is to run the management of the project for you. So we don't mind, and the payment shouldn't be a problem. The second question about support is, yes, we work very intensively with people, the shortlisted projects, to set up the projects. We don't provide staffing for the projects. That's for you to decide, but we will. One of the things we will do is to make sure that you have enough staff on your project to support the administration as well. And yes, there is evaluation of projects at the end as well. And during the projects, we ask for regular reports on the projects, and every project has at least one liaison person from our team and from our management committee working with them. Is that everything, Snor, or did I miss something? Okay. So I'm going to ask Amran to ask your question now, please. Hello. Moran, we can't hear you. Are you on mute? I don't think so.
He's not muted, but I don't know why we can't hear him.
Maybe
so,
we've lost you from it. We'll come back to you, Amran. I'm sorry we can't at the moment. Oh, have I missed the next person is Saleh. Please. Hello, welcome.
مرحبا كيف الصحة؟
Hey, شكرا. مرحبا.
أهلا دكتورة. دكتور مهيار تسمعني؟ شلون الصحة؟ إن شاء الله بخير.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام. هلا دكتور. دكتور احنا يعني كمنتمين للجامعات احنا نملك مشاريع بحثية جيدة ومهيئة انه تتقدم لجنابكم، بس عندنا اشكالية انت جاوبتنا عليها قبل شوية، هو الكتاب الموافقة من وزارتنا وزارة التعليم العالي. السؤال انت جاوبتنا، بس السؤال كيف نحصل على هذا الكتاب؟ يعني ارجو انه يعمم بمواقع التواصل الخاصة بالمركز حتى احنا نعرف شلون نشتغل، لان حقيقة نعاني من موضوع الموافقات الرسمية. فقط هذا السؤال اللي كان عندي، وشكرا جزيلا.
شكرا دكتور. احنا صراحة حصلنا هذا الكتاب بارحة من وزارة التعليم العالي وتعمم إلى كافة الجامعات العراقية. فممكن ما أعرف يا قسم بالضبط، لكن إذا يمكن ما أعرف دكتور علي إذا ممكن نجاوب على هذا السؤال، قسم العلاقات أو
قسم البعثات والعلاقات الثقافية
البعثات.
بالجامعات. احنا هسه بالكوفة وصلنا الكتاب، لأنه صار له حوالي أعتقد 10 أيام من صدر أو أسبوع. فبالكوفة اتصلت بالشعبة العلاقات الثقافية عندنا وواصلهم الكتاب، ويعني خلينا نقول باشروا التنفيذ. أنا صراحة أنا عندي مشروع متوقف، وقالوا لي الآن تقدر تباشر مشروعك من جديد. هذا الكتاب هو رفع خلينا نقول صريح للحظر عن شبكة النهرين. وتحب
شكرا جزيلا.
نسخة ممكن نخلي نسخة بالشات دكتور مهيار أو ست زينب بلا زحمة معلش.
يعني من ست زينب هذا الكتاب ممكن تاخذ صورة لهذا الكتاب.
تمام دكتور، شكرا بالتوفيق، خالص التوفيق لكم دكتور. شكرا.
يعني هذا إنجاز كبير إنه صراحة.
فعلا، ومشكورة جهود حق دكتور مهيار والدكتورة إليانور طبعا قبله، والملحق الثقافي دكتور محمد الهاشمي أيضا بذل جهود كبيرة، مدير عام البعثات دكتور حازم. بصراحة كلهم مشكورين على هذا الإنجاز، فعلا هو يستحق الشكر.
وكذلك دكتورة أوراس من وزارة التعليم
دكتورة
العالي.
أوراس أيضا، آسف نسيت.
دكتور حازم، شكرا. Let's move to the next question, Ellen. That was a question about the letter.
السلام عليكم. Hello everyone.
أهلا
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
طبعا راح أتحدث بالعربي. أولا أشكر الجميع ونشكركم على منحكم من وقتكم وأعطيتونا فرصة أن تجاوبون على أسئلتنا. شكرا لكم جميعا. Firstly, I want to ask you about the staff or the team that we have to work with. Is it obligatory to work with a team, or regarding our project we can work with individual, we can say? Is it obligatory to choose a team? If it is so, whom we work with? Will we work with we can say academic person or students at the universities, or any person in our society?
It's not obligatory. Thank you, Thaya. That's a very good question. So it's not obligatory to work with other people, though we've always funded teams in the past. We've never had anybody to apply for solo research before. And yeah, we are just looking, we'd like you just to explain, if you do want to work with other people, why it's those people you've chosen, what skills they bring, or whether you've worked with them before and you work well with them. But if you don't want to work with anybody, then you'll need to show that you can do all the work on your own. And you might want to think perhaps, about, perhaps, even if you don't want to work with somebody all of the time, there might be a particular element of the project it would be helpful to have some other expertise in. I mean, that will be your choice. As I hope I've made clear all along, we don't want to dictate too much about how people run their projects and which projects they want to do.
Thank you, Doctor. As actually, I said so. As I can do my work by myself. I can make a questionnaire, interview with people within his society. Then I began to do the literature review, or writing the written form.
Okay.
The question is that, sorry, the question, does it affect the acceptability of the project or not if I work with my own or with a team?
No, it doesn't affect the eligibility. And I think that question as well about if you've already done some work on the project and you want to tell us about that, that's a good thing actually, because you can show what work you've done, and that it's going to be a good project. So yeah, I think don't worry about either of those things.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, great. Let us move. Layla, do please ask what you would like to ask your question.
Hello, thank you very much for answering my previous question. I just have, the question was more like, if I wanted to have the Iraqi researchers on a scholarship basis, because it's easier to handle this through an European institution, instead of trying to transfer the money to Iraq and everything. Because basically I worked on Iraq in my PhD, and now as a postdoc, I can have my researchers as well. And of course, they will be conducting the research, and the publication they will have the first authorship. But that was the question, to ease the whole process, and in the consequences as well, they get also their master's degree or a PhD degree through this process.
Yeah, no, I'm afraid we can't do that.
Okay.
Okay,
then it has to be like they have to work as independent researchers or associated with an institution in Iraq itself.
Yeah, we can't fund people to do degrees in other institutions. We do run a small scheme for graduate scholarships here in London at UCL, but that's all we're able to do because they're so expensive, Layla. It would eat up all of your money.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
We want the money to go to Iraq, not to other universities.
Yes, of course. I mean, the whole point is like the whole research is going to be in Iraq. So they are always staying in Iraq, spending the money in Iraq, but the easiness of the transfers, that was the main question.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Then we will find another way to design the scheme itself. But okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, and Amran, welcome back. Let's see.
Thanks. Sorry, I'm very sorry interrupted by the internet cut. Sorry, very sorry. Thanks very much,
normal.
Eleanor and organizers and everyone. Good evening. I'm Omran from the University of The Hague. Actually, I'm interested. Actually, you've answered one of our questions with my colleague Zeravand, an NGO. We are planning to work together, like university academics with a local NGO. However, we are very interested in the fifth aim regarding the peace building, healing, post-conflict reconciliation, particularly in the Nineveh Plain. I've been in that area for more than 1 year working there, actually, in different topics, and already I've like written 2 papers, but not published yet. However, my question is, do you have like preferable areas to work on regarding the peace building, or this is one? And the other one, do you have like specific topics or research questions to work on? This is the second one. And the third one, actually, we would like also to know regarding the gender balance, if it is acceptable to have co-leading gender balance, like man with a woman co-leading. This is all my questions. Thank you very much for this very informative webinar.
Omran, thank you very much for those questions. So we don't we want you to tell us what matters to you, what the important research questions that you have. You know the Nineveh Plains far better than I know here in London. I spent a day earlier this year. I'm not the expert. You're the expert. Okay, so you tell us.
Of course. Of course.
And
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, we frankly, we don't get enough women applying. I like to see more women applying. I mean, we don't impose a quota of women, but it is great to see, to support the development of women researchers.
Yeah, I'm working on that actually, to
yeah,
have one with
yeah.
me, and definitely we will apply with a woman, yeah, to like preserve these gender balancing policy.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, great.
Thank you.
My absolute pleasure. So at the moment, we don't have any more questions. So I wondered if, Regine, if there's anything else you would like to say about the scheme, and then I will ask Ali and Mahia.
Sure. Thank you, Eleanor, and thank you for you all for your questions. Do you want me to speak in English or Kurdish or? I
We've
think
been mostly in
so that
English
is
so
everyone,
far.
yes.
Yeah.
So again, thank you very much for your questions and your interest. Being a past recipient of Nahrein Network myself, being in your shoes at some point, I would encourage you to look at the past projects and examine them. I think that would be a very key place where you can actually start to understand what Nahrein Network kind of normally think of projects. And that's not to say the exact content or thing like that, copy pasting project, but rather getting inspiration and understanding the big picture of what it means when it says creating new knowledge or having impact, and how those projects have been demonstrating those impacts and things like that. So I would say that's an excellent place where you can start to analyze those. And also in general, reading about interdisciplinary projects and how can you combine different fields and come up with interesting research questions, and why this matters for your community, because those, even if at the early stage of the EOI, this will be something you will be facing, not particularly in a detail of a budgeting, but kind of as a general expression. But then later you will be asked to clarify those more in detail. So the more in depth you think about those parameters in advance, the better you will be able to come up with the project and think about a research in terms of design. You are designing a project. So you could incorporate different components as you have asked before, capacity building or others. But as long as the key thing is about relating to research, generating new knowledge, and also having impact.
Thank you, Regine. That was really helpful summary. Dr. Ali, do you have anything you want to say?
I said something in Arabic because I just also give a brief about the projects maybe desired, let me say, by Nahrein, which should be also have a great impact to the community. And I saw many questions related to the maybe specialty or something. I believe that the heritage projects always multidisciplinary. So please, I know maybe someone asked about the eligibility of doing the research alone and so on. There is no problem. But I think that the nature of such type of projects related to heritage, always it needs historians, engineers, architects, etc. So all of this. So please think in the first, what is the problem? What is the question in your mind? And then try to gather very fast a team from another disciplines and put a methodology, because I think that the application form is simple to answer all the questions, is simple to have just maybe a preliminary idea about your methodology and so on, and also think what will be the output. The output is very important. What will be the solution expected from your field? To those people who are living in the north or near Mosul, I think they have a great opportunity to help the community there to return back to the diversity and of cultures and also coexistence. And what happened to the fire and the wedding, I think it is a good opportunity for all Iraqi people to share the sadness between them. So please think in such type of projects. We, as Iraqi people in the country of Iraq, we need these projects for our future, for our peaceful building of our future. So please think in such type of projects. It may be full of feeling, Eleanor, sorry, because as you know, those are hard topics here.
Yeah, but it's also important that we need to think about the difficult aspects of Iraq as well as the more joyous ones, don't we? We can't pretend they don't happen. Mehia, is there anything else you'd like to add before we close?
I think a lot has been already said about the nature of project design, good project management. I do think that you should try and work on a project that you're passionate about, that you enjoy, the topics you enjoy, whether it be about dark heritage or archaeology or about difficult past. And we are a university, so remember that we are interested in research. We have a broad definition of research, but we are oriented towards research, and we're probably one of the few and only institutions that fund higher education in Iraq. And so if you are intending to apply to the Nahrein network and to our department, UCL, to UCL, Department of History, the Nahrein network is based in the Department of History. Remember that to have the confidence to pursue your own interests, your own research interests, not what we are necessarily interested in here in London, but what is of interest to you? Is it a community museum? Is it something about genocide and atrocities, also about the past? Is it about archaeology? Is it about the future of archaeology in Iraq? All those things are about the past. So I would encourage everyone who is interested in applying to pursue something they're passionate about, not something that looks cool for a Western donor, but what actually makes sense in Iraq, what actually makes sense for you when you speak to your friends, your family members, and you feel that pain of the past few years, maybe past few decades. And that is the kind of stuff that we're looking for, the stuff that is really has ownership from Iraqis, has real ownership and an interest in, because this is what makes projects successful, is when the teams have ownership and they are passionate about the topic or the topics, then it makes for much more successful projects and outputs. And of course, remember, we are outputs oriented. You know, if you develop your outputs according to those kind of objectives and goals that you have, then that would make, of course, a stronger application. Remember that it would be good to have applications that are that answer the questions in the application. Try and answer the questions as much as you can. It's a short application, as Ellen has said, but it's one that we determine whether you're eligible or not, and whether you move to the next stage or not. So please spend enough time. Don't rush it. Make sure that you start as soon as possible, because you have, you know, maybe just over 3 weeks in a bit. So I know it's 3-4 pages, but actually it's not it actually makes it even more difficult, because it's only so few, there's a word limit, and there are only so few questions. So you have to make sure that you answer the questions. It's actually more difficult than a very large application. So you have to summarize your answers very well, and make sure that you have a very clear idea about what you want to do. And of course, good luck. If you have questions, you can always ask us questions. But we won't interfere at this stage. I mean, we generally don't interfere in projects. Only we're trying to support it. So one of the questions was, you know, what kind of level of support or assistance? That's only in terms of project management, financial management, not in terms of the actual, unless there are really clear things that we need, or big gaps that we need to address. We don't interfere in projects that are designed by Iraqi partners in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mehia. And I will just,
yes,
I will also, sorry, Ali, please.
Yes, I because I am now deliver my speech to the people in the north of Iraq, let me also to other part of Iraq, the south of Iraq. Also, I will say to them, please think in how the heritage can improve the life of people. As you know, maybe in the south of Iraq and the middle of Iraq, the peace is, to some extent, is good, and there is no problems and conflicts happened in the maybe recent 10 or more years. But still, the level of life is poor. Those people who are living beside very important archaeological sites, like, for example, Nippur and maybe Babylon and other sites, having many needs. So I think there is very important to question what is the value of archaeological sites and the heritage for such people, and how can they make use, for example, in the tourism or the heritage industry. I really like this term, heritage industry. I listened to this term for the first time in New York City. I visited 2 weeks ago. So what about heritage industry for such people? Let me ask Eleanor on behalf of Amal Ibrahim, because she has some problems in the microphone and so on. She worked with a team in a very well-known magazine in Iraq, which is devoted for the folklore, or the name is Public Heritage. Yeah, she asked if she can, for example, there's a certain support to this magazine or development and so on. So how can you answer this question?
Yeah, I think we're coming back, this scheme funds research projects. Yeah, we don't sort of offer subsidies for existing. We get asked quite a lot about all sorts of things that are really interesting and are related to heritage in Iraq, but we have our funders have imposed quite a clear structure that, really, as Mehia says, we're based in the university department. We fund research that makes a difference. So although there are lots of other activities that go on around research, those are not the sorts of things we support. There are other organizations and institutions that can support those sorts of things. So if people have questions about activities related to Iraqi heritage that are not research and want some advice on who to approach about that, we can do that. We can give you advice, but yeah, we only fund research projects.
So let me answer in Arabic briefly for أمل. أستاذة أمل، الحقيقة يعني دعم مباشر للمجلة مثلا أو تطويرها هذا مو من أهداف المنحة. من أهداف المنحة أو هدف المنحة الرئيسي هو دعم البحوث. لذلك أنا أقترح على حضرتك، الآن ذكرتي أنت مجموعة من الأمثلة مثل الأنشطة الفلكلورية. إذا مثلا تعرفين هناك فرق مثلا عندها أفكار ولكن محتاجة إلى تمويل، مثلا لتوثيق نشاط معين أو عادات أو تقاليد أو أشياء طبعا اللي هي أيضا تساعد على صناعة السلام والتعايش، فبالتأكيد هذا جزء من، خلينا نقول، المنحة، وممكن أيضا تدعم المنحة، وممكن أيضا ينشر بالمجلة مالتكم مال التراث الشعبي. أما دعم عن المجلة بشكل مباشر أو تطويرها هذا مو من ضمن مهام المنحة. إن شاء الله الجواب واضح. Thank you, Eleanor.
Thank you. So I think we've been talking for nearly an hour and a half now, so I think it's almost time to finish. So I said we'd end by talking a little bit about the application form. So I meant we have covered a lot of the ground here, so I won't go through in detail question by question. But what I will say, I think the questions that are most important at this stage are the big ideas, Mehia says, that you have, the big problem, or it could be a small problem, but the problem you want to solve or the question you want to ask, explain to us why that matters and why it's you who want to answer it. It doesn't matter yet if you're not entirely sure about your team, if you want to work with a team, because that usually changes as we put the projects together with the shortlisted applicants. Similarly, the questions on research methods and outputs will probably change during the when we work with the shortlisted projects. We will make suggestions to help you improve things. Often people want to do too much at once, and we'll say, hey, you don't need to do all of that. Here are the 3 things we think are really important that you should focus on now. So yeah, focus on you and the big questions. We have a final questions in the chat, which I will answer live. As we've been emphasizing all along, and as Regine has said specifically, this is research that makes an impact. So your output should not just be, we will publish in international academic journals. Please do some of that, but also think about how you will use your work to make a difference in Iraq. Because with the best will in the world, publishing in an academic journal is great for our academic careers, but frankly, it changes nothing in the real world. We know that. So how do you take that academic research and work with people, whether NGOs or local politicians or a community group, to change things? How do you begin to persuade people that things could be different based on your research? So we're looking on to both of those things, the academic side and the impact side as well. Okay. And then there's the last questions. Are we expected to have institutional support as the main applicants to apply for the fund? Well, yeah, we really do need, our university will not give money to individuals. The money has to go to another organisation. So yeah, you can't apply as an individual researcher. You have to be affiliated with an organisation that has a track record in managing money, so that we know we can show that the money is being well spent. Okay, let's close it here. We're recording this, remember, so if there's anything you want to go back and listen to again, Zainab has been recording this and will share the recording with everybody on the who's joined us today. Please do email us at nahrein@UK if you have any questions. Don't leave it too long though, because say after about the 24th or the 25th of October, we'll be starting to process the first applications, and we can't really cope with big questions coming at the last minute. So think now about questions that you have. If we get lots of questions about the same topic, we'll put up an extra information on the website and share that with you too. But I'm really looking forward to reading the applications as they come in, and looking forward to seeing the comments from our peer reviewers. And hopefully this time next year we will have 5 or 6 great projects that we are ready to start. So thank you again for joining us this evening, and thank you Zainab, Mehia, Ali and Regine for your time and your expertise today as well. Okay. Masa al khair. Ma salama. Bye bye.